do the new member intro in a few minutes, so I'll do a full introduction to myself. I mentioned at last week's meeting that I was trying to find a way into an organisation. I applied online, and it did the usual thing of disappearing into a black hole. I've been trying to sort of network my way into the organisation. I found two ways in. I had one referral into an executive vice president of product, and one into the head of HR. The HR one has turned up trumps. The guy himself was travelling when our mutual friend pinged him with an email. Within an hour, even though he was out of the country, he emailed back saying, "Thank you very much for opening up your network to us. We appreciate it." The next day, his recruiter within the HR organisation of the company had looked at my LinkedIn profile. I'd noticed that she looked at my LinkedIn profile, so I picked up the phone and I spun a yarn. I said, "I see you looked at my profile. I assume it's in connection with the VP marketing role that you've got going." And she started shutting it down. She was saying, "Well, yeah, we have a candidate in mind. We're negotiating with that individual. We're not sure that we're going to be looking for anybody else." At which point I said, "Well, that's fascinating, but not why I'm calling. I have a meeting in Toronto on Thursday morning, as in tomorrow, which I don't, but I have a meeting in Toronto Thursday morning, just around the corner from your office. You're at the top of Peter Street, aren't you? I've got a meeting just around the corner on King. Finishes up around 10:15. Could I take half an hour of your time at 10:30 and come and have a cup of coffee and chat about what you're doing? I know that the organisation is pushing into Europe. You made a couple of interesting acquisitions. That's kind of what I did for a while from the other side of the Atlantic. I helped North American companies break into the European market through London. I'd love to chat about how you're going about that and how some of my experiences might be relevant to whoever you put in place for this role." And she said, "Well, yes, of course. Come and have a cup of coffee." So tomorrow morning I have a non-interview, which, given the history of this particular role, I know that the reason they're recruiting now is they had someone in place in May, and that person has not outlasted their 90-day probation, so they're going around again. I suspect that the person they're negotiating with now was their number 2 or 3 choice 4 months ago. So it still may not work out. There still might be something there for me. Even if not, I thought it was a fantastic opportunity to let them know that I'm interested in them and that they ought to be more interested in me than they are. So we'll see what happens.
What does she take in her coffee?
Don't know yet.
Oh.
Don't know yet. I'll find out tomorrow morning.
Show up with 2 coffees, then you're really on it.
Well, I was going to suggest that we meet in a coffee house, but she said, "Well, no, come to the office. We'll meet." So we're meeting in her place, which is good. My other piece of news, again, as some of you who've heard me before will know, I picked up a little bit of consulting work, doing mainly writing and editorial services. And I had a meeting yesterday. Actually, one of the guys that was one of my 2 introductions to this other company is a former colleague of mine. He knows a chap who runs an analyst business that specialises in financial analyst reports on small cap businesses in the clean tech and IT space. Since I write, I understand technology, I get finance, I'm meeting him Friday morning to talk about the possibility of picking up some, basically a short-term contract gig to write 3 or 4 reports on small cap businesses in those spaces, which, again, it's not really what I want to do, but it's great stuff to put on a resume. To say that I've written and have published analyst reports on markets in the spaces that I want to work would be an excellent stepping stone. So that's my good news. Thanks.
Good job.